What is power? The ability to bend the world to your will, to shape your destiny. If I was Satan, I wouldn't take power from you. I'd give it to you. I'd place it in your hands, dangle it in front of your eyes like a forbidden fruit, watching as your hunger for control grows stronger with every taste. At first, you'd believe you can handle it. You'd think that power is just a tool, something you can wield responsibly, something that will make you better, stronger, more capable. You'd tell yourself that you deserve it, and perhaps you do, but deserving it and being ready for it are two very different things. You see, power doesn't just reveal who you are, it changes you. It magnifies your insecurities, your flaws, your fears. The stronger you become, the more fragile you are on the inside. I'd show you just how intoxicating it is to have others bow before you, to command respect, to be feared. But with every step higher you climb, I'd be there whispering, you could go even further. This is just the beginning. But the price? Oh, it wouldn't seem steep at first. You'd barely notice the sacrifices, your integrity, your kindness, your empathy. You'd push them aside because, after all, the ends justify the means, don't they? You'd convince yourself that to maintain power, you must make hard choices, choices that others might not understand. And so, slowly, the things that once anchored you to who you are would begin to slip away. But power is a drug that never satisfies. The more you have, the more you crave. I would feed that craving until it consumes you. You'd begin to see people not as friends or equals, but as pawns, tools to be used, discarded when they no longer serve your purpose. Relationships would become transactional. Loyalty would be bought, not earned. And as you rise, I'd ensure that you're always looking over your shoulder, afraid that someone else is coming for what you have. Because that's the curse of power, isn't it? It isolates you. At the top, there is no one you can trust, no one who truly knows you. You'd build walls around your heart, walls so thick that even you can't remember what lies behind them. In your pursuit of dominance, you'd lose touch with the very things that once made life worth living. Love, friendship, peace, they would all seem like weaknesses, distractions from your ultimate goal. And when you've reached the pinnacle, when you stand alone, king of your own empire, I'd let you savor that moment, briefly. Because it is then, at the height of your success, that you'd realize the bitter truth. You've become a prisoner of your own ambition. You've sacrificed everything for power, but the power itself has hollowed you out. You'd feel the emptiness inside, the cold void that no amount of control can fill. But by then it would be too late. You'd be trapped in a cycle, unable to let go of the very thing that's destroying you. To give up power would be to admit defeat, to face your own vulnerability. And that, I'd make sure, would be the one thing you cannot bear. You'd sit in your fortress, surrounded by all the symbols of your success, and yet you'd be more alone than ever. You'd think back to who you were before, to the dreams you once had, the person you hoped to become. And you'd wonder when it all went wrong. How did power, which once seemed like the key to freedom, become the chains that bind you? I wouldn't need to answer. Deep down, you'd know. You'd know that I was there all along, feeding your hunger, fanning the flames of your ambition. You'd know that in your quest for control, you'd lost the only thing that ever truly mattered, yourself. Power, after all, is the ultimate temptation. It promises so much, yet delivers so little. And once you've tasted it, you'll never be free of its grasp. It's not that I took your soul. No, you gave it willingly, bit by bit, in exchange for something that was never real. Power is the sweetest of lies, wrapped in promises of greatness, but it's also the heaviest of burdens, a weight you don't notice until it's too late. If I were Satan, I wouldn't need to drag you down with chains. No, I would let the very thing you desire most become the thing that destroys you. Power, after all, is seductive because it hides its price until the final moment when you've already paid everything you have. It would begin innocently, of course. You'd tell yourself that a little ambition is healthy, that striving to be better, to climb higher, is what you were born to do. And I'd let you believe that. I'd let you think that power is your birthright, that it's yours for the taking, if only you work hard enough, fight hard enough. But the reality? The higher you climb, the more of yourself you'll leave behind. At first, it would feel like freedom. You'd finally be in control. able to shape the world to your vision, to mold your destiny with your bare hands. You'd start small, gaining influence over a few, feeling the rush as people start to look to you for answers, for leadership. And with every decision, with every step you take toward dominance, I'd be there, nudging you forward, reminding you that this is just the beginning. But ambition has a way of corrupting even the purest of hearts. You wouldn't see it happening, not at first. The decisions you'd make would seem justified. After all, you're doing what's necessary, what's required to maintain control. But then, subtly, almost imperceptibly, I'd make you question your morals, your ethics. I wouldn't need to force you to compromise. You'd do it willingly, telling yourself it's for the greater good. Every corner you cut, every value you betray, would seem like a small price to pay for what's at stake. And once you've tasted real power, the kind that bends others to your will, I'd make sure you never forget the taste. It would become an addiction, stronger than any drug. You'd start to crave it, needing more and more to feel that same rush, that same sense of invincibility. But the thing about power is, the more you have, the more you fear losing it. And that fear? That's where I'd tighten my grip. I'd make you paranoid, suspicious of those closest to you. You'd begin to see betrayal where there is none, to hear whispers of discontent in every corner. You'd start to believe that everyone is after what you have, and that trust is a weakness you can no longer afford. Bit by bit, I'd isolate you, until the only voice you truly listen to is your own. And in that echo chamber of your ambition, you'd start to lose perspective. But the true beauty of this plan? You wouldn't even realize you're falling. You'd still believe you're climbing, still convincing yourself that every sacrifice, every broken relationship, every sleepless night is worth it. You'd justify the growing distance between you and the people who once mattered to you, telling yourself that they just don't understand what it takes to be at the top. You'd start to see empathy as a flaw, compassion as a distraction, love as something for the weak. I'd watch as you build your empire, brick by brick, until it stands tall and imposing. A fortress of your own making, and inside those walls you'd be safe, or so you'd think. You'd be untouchable, invincible, but also alone. The empire you've built, the power you've amassed, would come at the cost of everything that once made you human. You see, power doesn't just change the world around you, it changes you. It warps your soul, bends it until the person you were is unrecognizable, and that's the trick, isn't it? The greatest cost of power isn't the price you pay up front. It's what it takes from you over time. Little by little, piece by piece, it chips away at your humanity, until all that's left is a hollow shell, filled only with the insatiable hunger for more. But by the time you realize what's happened, it would be too late. You'd be standing at the top, looking down at the world beneath you, and for the first time, you'd see the truth. You didn't conquer the world. You conquered yourself. You crushed your own spirit, your own heart, in your relentless pursuit of control. And as you stand there, in the silence of your victory, you'd feel it. The emptiness, the void that power could never fill. You'd look back at the path you took to get here, and you'd see the wreckage, the friendships you destroyed, the trust you betrayed, the innocence you lost. And I would be there, smiling because I wouldn't need to do anything. The destruction, the corruption was always within you. All I did was give it the space to grow. Power is a prison, not because someone else locks you inside, but because you build the walls yourself. And once you've tasted it, once you've felt its allure, you'll never be free of it. You'll cling to it even as it destroys everything you once loved, everything you once were. In the end, it's not that power changes you, it reveals you. And what it reveals, you might not like. But by the time you realize that, you'll be too far gone to care. This